right, you guys. So this is Terry here. We're live with the Voices of Skye, and this is the podcast. I am here today with Barry. Barry is someone that is actually in the medical marijuana space, and I'm gonna let him explain to you guys more about what he does. Talk about the things that he's done in his business that got him to the level he's at right now. If you're new in the medical marijuana space and this is something that you want to jump into, this is something worth listening to. He has crazy experience in this, and I'll let him explain more about the experience he has in this. But first and foremost, Barry, for the people who don't know, can you introduce yourself? Can you introduce yourself first and foremost?
Sure. Thanks, Terry. Thanks for having me today. My name's Barry Greenberg, and I have a company called the Greener Institute. And our mantra is got anxiety. Okay? There's a lot of it out there. Thank you. Getting to the point with how I got into this and how I started. So back in 2018, we passed medical marijuana would be illegal in Pennsylvania. I was coming from the vape industry actually, and in that industry, I was helping people learn how to stop smoking and use vape to get rid of that bad habit and save their life, basically. So I was always trying to, help people in kind of a place where that they needed the information. So
Hmm.
when I saw that the state went legal on marijuana, I figured, boy, that was a good step in another direction that I hate to say it, I was very familiar with the medical marijuana, okay? So I knew that I could be help to a lot of people. So got into it was very interesting because back in 18, it certainly wasn't as friendly as it is today. So there was a lot of pushback. People were still very skeptical about this. I call it medicine, but they think it's a drug and it's a gateway drug to bigger things and addictions. And anyway, I think a lot more people have seen the evidence that it's medicine. So starting out with marketing was ridiculous. I mean, they like thought I was selling. We don't even sell the marijuana. We provide doctors services to get their certification so they can have a legal card to buy it. But that didn't matter. Anything with the word marijuana associated with it, Facebook.
Instantly a drug dealer, instantly, right?
Yeah, I'm the drug dealer. I'm hurting people, whatever. But Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Google, yeah, you could get on there, but as soon as they noticed, they'd knock you right off. So it was a constant struggle to
How did
promote
you
myself.
how did you deal with the backlash for that? Because I know, like for example, like you just said, like just the fact that that's what you're involved in that space is the marijuana space. How did you deal with the backlash from that? Because I'm pretty sure you've gotten a lot of backlash. People saying like you're selling drugs, like all types of crazy mess. So like, what? How did you deal with that? What did you usually do?
Well, I used the patients that I helped get their card as an example to say Mrs. Jones basically can't get out of bed until she has her medicine, her marijuana in the morning. Okay. I took a woman off of opiates. She hit the wall, man. She was sick as a dog. They weren't even helping her anymore. And I put her on edibles for 9 months, and she got off the opiates. And her husband called me and said, Barry, I have my wife back. Now, these are examples of things that it's amazing when you're involved with it to help people like that. And now, listen, I'd like to be a doctor, but I'm not, okay? So the irony of this whole thing is Barry Greenberg, with no letters after his name, is helping somebody with a medical issue get better. This is our whole society, the way it's set up. It's ridiculous. I mean, the doctors aren't even really trained. You can't blame them because they're not trained in it. So for them to start showing people how to get better on it and give them specifics how to use it is a liability for them. So there's a missing link. It's really funny how this thing goes. So you go to our doctors, you get certified, they give you a card, you walk into the dispensary and you say, "Give me two of those and three of them." Okay? These people, no one's telling them what to do or how to dose. So sometimes they get it right, sometimes they don't, and when they don't, they don't do it again because they feel so uncomfortable. They think that's how they're always going to feel on it. But there's so many different strains and different ways to dose that they just didn't get the right stuff. So the Greener Institute, that's what we do. We're heavy into the education, especially the older people that come to us and want to. They can't sleep. They have arthritic pain, anxiety, you name it. There's so many different things that it helps with, and
That's
just
actually
to
really
like
true.
walk them down the road to help them figure out what it is they should take.
No, that's definitely true. I remember like at one point I had really bad anxiety at one point, and like I had to go to the hospital for it multiple times, and they kept like giving me
Wow.
pills, and it was funny. So it was back when I was living in California. One of my friends was like, bro, just hit this, bro.
Wow.
He said, "You'll be all right. Just hit this." And then I'm like, I never tried it a day in my life, so I was like, "All right, cool. Like, let me try this out." And dude, like, it really just stopped my anxiety. And I haven't smoked like marijuana in years now. It's been years, but I could say it actually cured my anxiety because I've never had anxiety since then. Since back then when I
Yeah.
started actually using it for that.
Yeah, it's interesting because, well, there's two strains of the plant. There's one called sativa, there's one called indica. And the sativa strain is more uplifting, makes your mind race a little bit. And boy, if you have PTSD, anxiety, depression, that's the last thing you want to do is have your mind race. And that's when people say, I get paranoid. And as soon as you hear that, or when I hear it, I know they're taking more of the sativa strain, and that's the wrong one. Indica, we say in the couch, indica, in the
Ah,
couch, which is it'll knock you back, chill you out, your mind's not racing, and that's where you get relaxed. And that's what you had, so you felt better. And so these are things that just have to be explained to people. But once they do it the wrong way, you can't explain. They don't want to know from anything anymore. Oh,
yeah.
I was crazy. I couldn't think. I was, paranoid and all that, and that's it. So, especially the older people, and so it's again, that's what we had to get into, to really educate. And that's, I think, how our business really took off because people were referring us. They knew that we would not only get them a certification, but help them with their, the way they could dose to make it better.
Hmm.
It was interesting, though, talking about the marketing. So, this is how this thing happened. In the beginning, from 2018 to 19, it was a lot of, local ads. And in the beginning, the law said you had to go into an office, to see the doctor. Okay. And so I guess about 6 months in, after they passed the law, they added one new thing to the conditions. And the new condition was anxiety. That wasn't on the list. As soon as I saw anxiety go on the list, I knew basically anyone could get this medicine if they wanted it. Okay. And I felt very comfortable because before that, if you had chronic pain, you needed a lot of records from their doctors. It was a
Yeah.
very hard process. But once they added that, it kind of streamlined everything. So what did Barry do? I'll tell you what Barry did. He went and he put up billboards all over Philadelphia. So I had like 15 billboards for about a year. And
So wait,
that
Barry.
was the beginning.
You mean to
Huh?
tell me it actually takes hard work to get a business started? It actually takes hard work. Like you actually got to put in some effort, right?
You know, anyone watching this that thinks, you work less when you're self employed, you better get a grip, man, because you're going to work double what you normally work for somebody else. But it's the passion, right? Tara, you love it, right? We have
Oh
a
yeah.
passion. Entrepreneurs love what they do and they wake up happy and they feel like they're not working because they're doing what they want to do. And that's the beauty of it. But yeah, it's a lot of work. But these billboards really started, that's the beginning. The phones were ringing off the wall. Here's a funny story. One of the billboards, it was a 40 by 60-foot billboard, huge, right on 95, right where there was construction. And
Oh
I get
wow.
this phone call from this woman. She says, "This must be from a sign from above." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" She's like, "I'm sitting in traffic. I'm freaking out. I'm just so stressed. I didn't know. I just didn't know what to do. And I look up, and the sign says, 'Got anxiety? Get your medical marijuana card.'" She said, that's a sign from God. I said, well, we can help you. But anyway, the billboard thing went really well for a while. But guess what happened in 2020? COVID. Well, what happened to the traffic on this on 95? There was no traffic. But in but there was a better thing that happened, and a lot of people really got hurt by COVID. A lot of restaurants, a lot of small business. You're looking at a guy that, I hate to say it, COVID made really where I'm at today, because they decided you can't go into an office. You got COVID, man. You can't go outside. So they went virtual. They said the doctor can be on the computer online. Well, you know what that meant? From I only had two offices locally in Philadelphia. That next day, I was in the whole state of Pennsylvania. How would you like that? It's like opening up 50 storefronts. So that was, that changed the game for me. So the same doctors that I had, they, could do that and all over the state. So that was really a big kick in the ass for me. COVID been very good to me.
And
So I hate this.
the crazy part is COVID was very good to a lot of people. I can even say for myself because that's when I dived deeper into automations,
Right?
just starting like my own thing. Like I was working with a sales company for the longest, and
Huh.
I was like, what, let me dive deeper into what I know. I'm really good with computers. I'm good with technology. Let me try this out because everything's becoming online right now. So I dived into just learning about more about automations and all that, and I jumped into the right space to help with automations, which was credit repair at the time. That was like my niche, you could say, is credit repair. So I was like only helping out credit repair businesses because I knew that everyone needed credit repair at the time. So like it was a big thing. But Barry, like, so question: have you ever been broke before? Were you ever like had nothing,
Oh my God.
or did you
As I said,
were you raised with money?
I've been to the mountaintop and I've been in the valley. Okay, and it's much more comfortable on the mountaintop, I have to say. But there's things to that you have to take into consideration too. But no, I didn't come from money. Everything I've done is self-made.
Hmm.
My he's an entrepreneur. He was in the food business. So growing up, I was, involved with him on his businesses and his restaurants. And so one thing about learning, you know, firsthand, so to speak, rather than books and school, I think that's what gave me I call it gift of gab. You have it as well, Terry. We
Oh
tend
yeah.
to learn how to communicate when you're in front of people. And so my father gave me that. I'm not in the restaurant business. I never will be. So one thing I will not do is go into that business. But I learned a lot of
Of
skills to be in business. So yeah, but I have my rough times. I have to. If anybody's listening and wants to know a secret of how I was been asked this a couple times, so I had to think about it. And I come up with one word. And what the word is? Persistence. Persistence. Don't listen to everybody around you. They have their ideas. They put you down. They're not, they're jealous, whatever, and you don't feel, that you can do it. Well, guess what? It's a passion inside of you. If you have the sense that that's what you want to do, you can do it. But it's not easy. You got to keep going at it. You might fall down 5 times. You got to get up and you got to get up again. And nobody's going to tell you not to. That's how you get success, unless you hit the lottery. But other than that, it's a lot of hard work and persistence. And I don't care if you're a singer, an actor. How many great singers and actors there are, but how come they didn't get picked? You know what I mean? Where did those
exactly.
other people get picked? Because they didn't give up. They kept going and going, and then people said, you suck," and guess what? They kept going, and that's what you have to do. Yeah, just stay with it. But I've been knocked down many times, but I got and sometimes you fall into the right thing, and timing is important too.
Well, yeah, and
And
I
my
like the fact.
timing actually was great.
Yeah, and your dad like was in the business, and he kind of took you on his wing, kind of shows you kind of like hard work because like, hey, this is how it is.
Oh yeah,
same thing for me. And when my son gets older, I want to do the same exact thing. I want to like teach him, hey, this is hard work. And I've noticed even with just working with you guys, I've noticed that you have Justin. And Justin's working with you, so it's like a trickle effect. You like it keeps passing down and down.
Yeah.
And then when Justin has his kid, he's gonna probably do the same exact thing. He's gonna pass down and it keeps on going.
Well, that's the beauty of having if you're in an entrepreneurial family, you know what I mean? But some people aren't, and they see their parents going to work every day, and at the end of the week, what do they get? They get a paycheck. Okay? And as soon as somebody says, "Well, if I do that on my own, what happens if I don't make money during that week?" And that's the downfall because you can't be an entrepreneur if you even think about that. Okay? And I grew up in a family that, by the way, they had bad times, they were struggling, and they kept working and working, and then they had good times. And they never got paychecks. They worked and they did well, and that's what I'm trying to say. So you just have to know that it's going to be there for you. You can't be, I must have to get that paycheck to continue, doing what I want to do. And it's not easy. It's a lot of stress sometimes. You got bills to pay and people to answer to. And that's why I'm saying persistence. You just have to keep going at it. If it's in your heart and that's your passion, go for it, man. Just keep going. And you know what? It's going to happen. You'll see.
No, you know what they
But like I
say.
said, I got into something that just timing was good. As we say, it's a growing market. Dum dum. Okay, that's the pun.
I got you for that one. Hold on. You want the hold on, there it goes. Hold on, there it is.
Here, well, let's do that again. I'm going to say it and you'll hit it. I'm in a growing market.
You know what they say though? They say follow your dreams, or you're gonna be working for someone who followed theirs. And that's the truth.
Yeah, that's
Like
a good way to put it.
I think
Yes,
this
I
one
agree.
this one joke I heard a long time ago, and it hit me so hard. And it was funny enough. It was right before I got into doing sales, and it kind of pushed me into wanting to get into sales more. And mind you, I had no sales experience. I wasn't a social guy at all. I was very to myself. I was an introvert. I did not like talking to people. And like I saw this. It was a funny meme, right? It was something online I seen. It had this guy. I forgot how it went, but if someone was clocking into work, and he said, a guy clocks into work. He sees his boss's nice Ferrari, right? Nice car he had. And he's like, wow, that's such a nice car you got, man. And he's like, yeah, man. If you keep working super hard and keep doing the right things and keep pushing yourself to keep making the most money you can possibly make, I'll probably buy another one. And I'm like, fuck. And like, I was like, this is crazy. Yeah, like I was like, this is craziness. Like I'm like, there's no way. So like, it's like when you work for someone, you're really building their dream. But not everyone can be entrepreneurs. I mean, like, some like you said, you got into the right thing at the right time. Me too. Like we got into AI at the right time. As soon as it came out. And the thing is that we still went through obstacles. Like we went through a tough month. Like I could say like last year around like August was a really tough month for us. Our we were making too much. So Stripe shut our account down because they didn't know what was going on, quote unquote. So they shut our account down. They treated us like we're the drug dealers. And we were like,
Right.
what's going on? And it was a tough month for us around that time because we were doing really good, and they shut it down. We were like, we weren't able to charge clients. We were looking for merchant providers, and it was tough. And I was just like, holy crap, man. And most people would have quit because we had some money saved up. We just invested a lot into software building because we were trying to do a whole
Mhm.
bunch of new stuff, and we didn't expect that. And like, dude, we were just, we didn't have any money to ourselves at all. We were like kind of like penny pinching. I had my girl was pregnant at the time. Good thing we were living in
Right.
Colombia, the country at the time. But you know anyone else that probably would have went through that stuff, because that's why I always say you always gotta find someone you can go on like in business with that you trust. That's a good business partner, because
Yeah.
that kind of showed me my business partner's true self. I was like, holy crap, like he's in it to win it. Like, he was like, we're gonna figure this out. It's like one way or another.
Well, I have to tell you, you're lucky because I've had my ups and downs came because I had the wrong business partner. Okay. And a business partner is like a wife. So you really need to make sure you pick the right one. Unfortunately, I didn't, and it got screwed, and you know whatever. And but like I said, you get knocked down, you come back, you come back.
Mm.
So if you're going to go into business with somebody else, you really, really need to make sure that you guys are compatible and you have some kind of, you know, everybody has disagreements and we all do it, but on paper you just have to be able to go to something to say, listen, if this happens, this is what we both agreed to do. And if this happens, this is what we both agreed to do. And don't do anything on a handshake or just verbal because it just doesn't, you never know. And I don't care if it's your best friend, your brother, your sister, even a parent, you need something as a guideline to say this is what we do next. But just be careful when you get into business with somebody. But if you get the right partner, like Terry's talking about, it really is one lifts the other one up, right, Terry? You work
Oh yeah,
together.
dude. Like it's like one when one is like slacking somewhere, the other
Yep.
one's kind of like telling you, hey, like we gotta do this. And then when the other one's slacking, it's like an energy thing. And I was not a fan of making business partners at all. I didn't believe in it. I thought like
Right.
getting business partners. It was not even about like getting the wrong business partner. It was kind of in the selfish aspect because I was like, I don't want to split nothing in half. I can figure it out myself. I can hire myself, right? I can do all this
Right.
myself. And I went through multiple businesses where it didn't work. Because I was by myself. Like my automations company, it didn't get to where I wanted it to go to because I was doing everything by myself. I started kind of getting into real estate wholesaling. That didn't go the way I wanted to because I was trying to do everything
Mm-hmm.
myself. Tried Airbnb out, was doing it by myself, and then the one time I actually do a company with someone. Because I got that idea from one of my friends. He was just like, dude, like you should find like someone that's like minded like you to partner with you because he was like, dude, this is how we're doing really well. Like my friend actually convinced me to move to Colombia. He makes like this guy brings in like almost like over like 500K a month. Like he's like crazy with what he does. He does a lot of e-com, a lot of other stuff, but he spends like 100K a month in ad spend just alone. So like
Wow.
this dude is like he kills it, and it's him and his business partner. He's like, dude, it's because I got my business partner and we just work together, man. He's like, we literally just work together with everything. And he's
Yeah.
like, when shit was tough, I found out he was the right business partner. So
Yeah.
when stuff got tough for me and Mike, that's when I found out his true color. He said the same thing about me. Like he was like, dude, like that's when I knew
Yeah.
that you're gonna be a good business partner.
Well, you guys, that's really good because it's difficult to really find a good business partner. I'm just saying. But you complement each other, and that's great. So again, just when you go into business, another big thing is you got to have the money to hold out. That's another problem, especially today. It costs more money today than when I started years and years ago.
Yeah.
So just because it's not working out, it doesn't mean your idea is not good. You just don't have the wherewithal to continue down that road with the right investment because it's all about that. I hate to say it's all about the money at some point. If you can't invest appropriately into the marketing, advertising, and overhead, you can't continue to do it. So it doesn't mean it's a bad idea. So that's when you start to look at partners or finance to borrow money and things like that. So there is a bunch of things involved with this, but the passion and the knowing that that's your goal is at the heart of this, right, Tara? I mean, if you don't have that, you're not going to stay with it. Let's put it that way. And another thing I wanted to talk about was, we talked about timing. So yeah, I hit the timing right on the beginning of the medical marijuana cards and things like that. But everything has a curve to it. Another thing was that nothing's forever.
Hmm.
You make a lot of money, and believe me, at some point the curve goes down. Okay, and you have to be aware of like the market so that when that potentially happens, you have to somewhat diversify. You have to be ready for that down because it's always going to be that way, and it could just be competition. The market gets saturated. So great, you were going straight up. Now you got 500 people doing the same thing. It's coming down. Okay, so what are you going to do? You prepare for that. Okay, and so for instance, when Pennsylvania first started, they did not allow any kind of edible, gummies or anything like that. So now they do. But when they didn't, a lot of my patients needed to eat it, because when you eat it, it works differently. It lasts longer. It's more effective, especially for chronic pain.
Hmm.
So what we did is we went into their kitchens and helped them make gummies. You were allowed you were allowed to make the gummies. They just couldn't sell them to you. How's that? So you had to buy the right stuff to make. I don't know if anyone ever made gummies. It's the biggest pain in the ass. It's on the stove top. It's sticky. It's bubbly. It's just very difficult to make a nice gummy. Okay, and the
I've never
cleanup
done
is a
that
mess
before.
too. And then you have the medicine you have to infuse into it appropriately.
Hmm.
So nobody was really doing it. So we went out and did it, and we helped people, right? Well, at some point, I'm thinking there's got to be a better way. And again, diversifying, coming up with another product, another way to make revenue. So came up with this, okay? And this is called the Greener Gummies. It's a kit. And literally inside this kit is the gelatin in a bottle. You put in a microwave for 30 seconds, melts it. It's already pre-done for you, okay? Shake the bottle, inject this medicine that we show you how to buy at the dispensary into it, shake it, put it in the mold. Comes with the molds, the sugar. We changed the game, okay? And
That's
so for a
that's
couple
actually pretty
years,
cool. You got me wanting to
and so
try it.
they, huh? You want a
You
kit?
got me wanting to
I'll,
try it now.
I'm sending you a kit. So again, that we created the Greener Gummies, the website, everything's greenergummies.com. A little plug there, and it really is great because it's cheaper anyway to make them yourself, and you have the ability to put whatever you want that's appropriate for your condition, the type of medicine inside of that. Uh, so again, that gave us another revenue stream because in my business right now, as I said, the line was going really straight up, but now it's coming down because why? Well, first of all, we've been in 8 years. People have been providing, getting cards. So the people that want a card pretty much have a card. Thank God I started early because now I have residual income because everybody has to renew their card every year. So if I hadn't started when I did with the billboards and some radio and doing the virtual, all that, I wouldn't have been able to build. But I built a really large organization with a big database of patients. So, now, and I plan for it. So now this curve's coming down. So I don't have the same new revenue with the cards. So I have other things. Now, another part of the business, which is growing, it's the newest part. And, Terry was supposed to ask me this question, but I'm going to say the question anyway, is the beverage market. So THC beverages is on fire. I mean, it's not only is it on fire, it's the way that I think marijuana is going to normalize within the society.
Do you not
Because
think it's gonna ever normalize through like just smoking it through a joint, or you think that's gonna forever just be like
now, see,
frowned upon?
listen, I'll give you a scenario. We're at a bar together. You have your whatever vodka drink, and I'm drinking my THC beverage. And we're both drinking. You're looking at me, I'm looking at you, we're talking back and forth. There's no reference to what you're doing. We're both drinking.
Yeah.
Well, how about if you were drinking your vodka and I'm across from you and I'm going, now I'm a drug addict, okay? You're okay in society and I'm a drug addict. That's how it goes. And that's what the problem is. So just like gummies, gummies are kind of neutral too, and they're stealth. I call them stealth. But the beverages, soccer moms, a hard day with the kids and out to whatever, they take the little can of lemonade with THC in it. It's by the way, in a beverage, it's a very low dose, so you can drink 2 or 3 drinks and you're not stoned. You're just relaxed. But just to give you an idea, the seltzers are big. This is like 10 milligrams of THC, and I think it's 5 milligrams of CBD. And there's all different flavors. So this is like a seltzer, okay? But, people that drink beer, okay? So this is a beer that's got no alcohol in it. It's infused with hemp, okay? So it tastes exactly like beer. You're getting what you want to taste. And then we
Yeah, you
have
can make one
a
called the
juice.
Greenberg beer.
We might come out with a line. Hold on. We'll be back. Here's a juice. It's 30 milligrams. This is more of a mixer. You take an ounce of this and put it in like a beverage because 30 milligrams is a little much to drink at one time. But the biggest thing that just happened to us, we were in Vegas and it was one of our cannabis shows, and we ran into a booth with this winery. And the guy, right away, oh, we got wine, it's hemp infused. I'm like, listen, I've tried every hemp infused wine out there and they suck. Because what happens is they have to take the alcohol out of the wine, and that's part of the
Yeah.
flavor of the wine. When they do that, you don't get a good flavor. So he's like, no, I'm telling you, try this. Let me tell you something. It was a sangria wine. You wouldn't be able to tell the difference. I was shocked. I'm like, dude, I want you, I need to get this. So we made a deal, and now I am a distributor of his wine in Ohio, Pennsylvania, New Jersey. We just got this last week. I was at a show this weekend. We sold like 3 cases of this stuff, and I haven't even really marketed it yet. I mean, people, this is going to be major. And by the way, you can sell this anywhere. It's legal.
Send me
And I'll
one.
go over that why it's legal. Huh?
Send me one.
Yeah, well, there you go. He's got a gummy kit coming. He's got some wine. I'm telling you. No, but truly, if you're not like me, I don't drink alcohol. So, but when I'm in a bar, I don't want to stare at somebody. I want to see.
Wine here.
But again, my point was thinking ahead when that curve goes down, you have to have alternative revenue. You can't just let things go. So this is, for me, the beverages is a huge, huge opportunity. I'm excited about it. And this is just the new thing. So we'll keep you abreast of how this is going, Terry. But I'm excited. It looks like it's got legs and it's going to happen.
Yeah, I've noticed that. I remember at one point it was like that was like I started seeing more and more THC drinks and stuff, and I was like, okay, this is becoming normal. And I remember I tried one. I forgot the name of it, but I tried one. Even like even like the hemp infused lotions are becoming like a thing. Like I've noticed a
Yeah.
lot of things dealing with just hemp infused is just becoming like popular now. And like as much as like, and I mean, this is coming from a non-smoker. I don't smoke any weed, and like I don't do it because I just noticed that my production just goes low. So I know I
Hmm.
get lazy when I smoke. So like that's why I stopped. But at the same time, I'd never seen anything bad happen from like from marijuana. So and that's the question I have for you. So like, what significant changes have you like observed in the medical marijuana industry that since like the Green Institute's inception?
Well, see, there's 2 ways. This goes state by state. So every state has their own laws, right? So some states are recreational and medical. Some states are just medical, and there's a few that don't have anything. Okay. So what's happening? They're bringing to market more and more different types of products, which, like you just said, there's all these creams, and they really work well with like arthritic pain and muscle pain and cramps and things like that. So that's been really going well. And then the edibles. I mean, of course, there's all kinds of different edibles now. So they're all getting creative with different types of edibles. But when it comes, see, here's the problem. I'm medical. Listen, I do partake of marijuana to relax, and I'm usually drinking it or a gummy or something. I don't really smoke that much. But the point is that you get, the opportunity to use these different types of dosing is where, when it's medical, you can determine what helps with that condition. Like, Terry, if you're sitting there and you got no pains, your anxiety's good, and there's really no reason to put it in your body other than to get high, that's recreational, okay? But I'm dealing with people that are sick. And they literally have a lot of different conditions. And this helps them with their condition. So they're not in pain. Or if they are, the only other option is an opiate and or other medicines that cause side effects. So there aren't a lot of options out there when people are sick. I'm telling you right now, other than the pharmaceutical pills. So we treat the nice thing about Pennsylvania is it's all medical. So everybody's focused on what it is that might help for that condition. Okay? Once it becomes recreational, they kind of lose that. Like all they care about is selling the stuff to people to get high. So the
Yeah.
people that need it for medicine aren't getting the same, the time anymore. They don't care about us. They're like, we just want to sell to everybody. Okay. So it's kind of interesting. There is two different markets, right?
Oh, yeah.
And listen, I'm not opposed to people using marijuana to relax and feel good, right? No different than alcohol. I don't, but how about an alcoholic? Is that good? No. Well, are they going to take the whole industry down because there's people that abuse alcohol? No. Well, why would they do that with marijuana? And that's what they focus on. The people that are stoners, oh, see, they're lazy, they're stupid, they don't work. Yeah, well, that's just yeah, there's people that abuse everything. So they pick on that. But the opportunity for everybody else is very good, So it's not, and the plant's been studied enough where it does, it is good for your body, okay? It is medicine and it does work. And in Israel, they've studied it. That's where you're not even allowed to study it here. Okay, you can't even touch the plant. The pharmaceutical industry has a lid on this stuff. They don't want this getting out to take out their medicines, so they're keeping a lid on it. And unless you're self-taught or go research it away from the doctors, they're going to suggest that you stay on the pharmaceuticals.
Whoa, whoa,
Okay,
whoa, Barry,
and
Barry, calm down. We don't want you. We don't want the government to come after you now. You know what happens when you speak too much truth. Now, don't speak too much truth on
yeah,
the
I
internet.
know. No,
You speak a little too much truth now.
it's the truth. I mean, it is frustrating though because it's just lack of knowledge. People they don't want it to come out, but yeah. I mean,
It's true.
the industry is really not. I mean,
You ever heard of
they've
these?
come up with what is well that yeah that's
It's oil of oregano. So like,
yeah. It's by the way, it tastes like shit, but
I know
whatever.
it tastes terrible, man. But like, it's like you said. There's so many natural ways to get rid of certain things. And
Yeah,
you don't have to
yeah,
take pills or nothing like that. Like oil of oregano was pretty much like a COVID cure in a sense. You know what I mean? Like when it like that was curing the common cold. It cures like any
yeah.
sicknesses, any sore throats, all that.
Well, colds and flus. I've been on that, and it's just hard to take, but it does work.
You gotta do the pills.
Well, then you burp up that
Yeah.
flavor, but whatever. there's a lot of there's a lot of good plant-based remedies. There really are, and you just have to reach out. And by the way, one of the reasons I got into the whole healthcare thing with the vape and all that, I was sick. Usually, when you get sick, you decide that you should be doing something else. Until
Yeah.
then, you don't give a shit. But I got sick. I had a digestion problem where I had a bad acid reflux, basically my whole life, but never did anything about it. Didn't care. And then, in my disease, I get scoped, and I have this thing called Barrett's, which is a precancerous situation that woke me up. I'm like, "What's going on here, doc?" And basically, it was what I put in my. I was killing myself. Basically, it was what I was eating was causing me to have this acid. So what the doctor gave me was the purple pill. He said, "Here, take these for the rest of your life, and you won't have any more acid." Well, it didn't go well with me, so I'm researching now. And I researched the fact that when you stop the acid pumps like that, you get other problems. So that's why they sell you more pills with side effects. So I'm like, I'm not going on that pill. So I started, it's funny, a real quick story. So I wake up in the middle of the night and my TV's on and there's a Nutribullet commercial, infomercial on. And I'm watching this, and they're showing vegetables and fruit and how you mix it, and they're drinking all these healthy people. I'm like, that's what I have to do. That's what I need. Dude, I never order anything on TV. I called up. Not only did I order it, I paid more to get it faster. Okay, that's how much I wanted to. And this is true. I got it maybe 2 days later, and I juiced for 3 years straight. 3 years. Now the first year, I was doing a lot more juice than food, but I knew that the only test I had to see if it really was working, if I ate an onion, I'd be burning like you wouldn't believe. My whole chest would be on fire. So I knew that if that was my test, I got to try an onion. So in a year later, bit into an onion and chewed it up. Zero. Nothing.
Really?
I got re-scoped. Doctor, he comes in, he says, "Are you on your Nexium?" I'm like, "No." He starts yelling at me. "You're going to be inflamed. I'm not going to be able to see it." Sorry, doc. I mean, He goes in, he scopes me. I wake up. He says, "Listen, Barry, whatever you're doing, just keep doing it." Okay? And this is the point. The doctors don't ever ask you what you eat. They say, "What's your problem?" And then they hand you a pill. It doesn't work. It's a shame. Our whole system is about that. Okay? And I'm proof that I went away from that, used natural ingredients, a lot of kale and spinach and fruit and great stuff, and it cured and put me back where I needed to be. I mean, I had more energy. Dude, I'm telling you. I still juice, but for 3 years I was like dedicated. I'm like, I don't want to get any cancer here. I want to keep healthy.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
that's the problem. Until people have a problem, they just keep eating. And sugar is the biggest drug on this planet. Okay?
So you can
Sugar.
say that again.
And they don't control it, they don't care about it, they don't talk about it. But God forbid they talk about marijuana. But no, sugar's okay. We got 10-year-olds with diabetes now, okay?
Huh?
It's a joke. Yeah,
No,
it's scary.
sugar is a big drug, man. I mean, to this day, I'm still like, I love to have some candy every now and then. I got a lot
Mhm.
better. I remember I used to eat candy all the time, and thank God I don't have diabetes or nothing like that. I used to always eat candy, and like, it's crazy that like now so many like I see so many people that got diabetes. So many people that get it because of this the fact of putting sugar in. Now,
Yeah,
I've tested myself.
overweight. Come
Yeah,
on.
you know what? I went to the doctor. They tested me. They were like, "Hey, like," because I went to the point where I stopped taking a lot of sugars, and I did it to the point where they said my blood sugar is low and I need more sugar. And they're like, "Hey, it looks like you got low blood sugars. You need to,
Yeah.
you know."
Well, the point is, like, they did tests. They did heroin and they did sugar, and in these mice, and they scanned their brains. The heroin didn't hold a candle to how the sugar lit up the brain. Okay, sugar again, everything in moderation. My point is that they don't discuss it. They don't talk about it. They don't make the kids like fearful of it. You know what I mean? But that's our society. It's all
There's a
about
song
money.
called "I Love Candy."
Yeah, and at the end, well, you like Halloween, you get that free candy, I know. But at the end of the day, there's no money in wellness, and I hate to say it that way, but there's a whole industry built around people that are sick. Okay,
Hmm.
and they're not going to let that go so quickly. So, and
Yeah,
that's why the marijuana, cannabis, hemp, all that stuff is mixed in there because it's helping people and they get better with it and they don't have to buy their stuff. So, it's a problem. But the
yeah.
last thing I wanted to talk about, which I gave you another question, but I'll read the
You
question.
didn't give me a chance to ask the question.
All right. So basically, in 2018, they signed something called a farm bill. And in the farm bill, they wanted to manufacture hemp in major quantity, and it was against the law actually. Hemp, which is not marijuana, it doesn't have THC in it, which is what you get high from. So they said, okay, we're going to sign this bill. It says as long as there's not more than zero point 0.3 delta 9 in the plant, it's considered hemp and it's legal. Well, lo and behold, the plant doesn't make delta 9. It only makes THCA, which is an acid, so they call it THCA. So THCA is 100% legal. And by the way, that is marijuana. So they really basically legalized marijuana, but a lot of people just don't, of course, aren't educated in what that's about. In 2018 they did that, but it wasn't until like 22 that all these labs got like in figured out that they could actually package up and sell THCA as the same marijuana under the law that says that's now called hemp. So that happened, and now the industry's on fire, and that's why all the stuff I was showing you, like the juice and all this stuff, it's all under zero point 0.3 delta 9.
Hmm.
okay, which by weight. So this is considered hemp, so it's legal, and it will get you stoned as you can believe. I mean, it's so a lot of people don't know about this, but if you go into a smoke shop or a vape shop, I call it the new pharmacy. You're going to find gummies, you're going to find all kinds of, flour, you're going to find edibles under this less than zero point 0.3 delta 9. And the only thing saving the dispensaries, because it's a lot cheaper in the smoke shops, is the fact that people think it's not the real stuff. I hear it all the time. When I show them something with THC, "Oh, the real stuff's in the dispensary. I don't buy." I'm like, no, no, this is the real stuff. But they don't get it. So listen, if they don't want to hear it, I'm not telling them. You know what I'm saying? But that's the deal. They're trying to change the law because it's getting a little crazy. You can buy this stuff, like I said, in all these smoke shops. Same as what the dispensary sells. So they're trying to shut it down. But the funny thing is, the hemp business made so much money over the last 5 years. They're fighting back. Now they're a billion-dollar industry. So now they're fighting back to court. So it's a whole to do, and it's up in the air. But they could shut it down. They might not. Who knows? But wherever the money is, that's what that's they go down that road. So we'll see. But
Hmm.
right now, the opportunity is really. I always say this. There's always people, and you know this, Terry. People sit on the sidelines saying, "I'm going to wait until this happens, then I'm going to get in the game." Well, I'm
Yeah.
going to wait till this happens. Maybe more people will learn about it. Then I'll get in the game. Well, I have to tell you this: you got to grow some balls. If you want to if you want to be really successful, you got to get in the game right at the beginning. Okay, because that's when you have the most opportunity. And yeah, you might have an issue because not everything is determined yet. You're looking at a guy that's again, everything in my life is gray because the black and white is just not happening in the marijuana business, okay? And there's a lot of people that said, "Oh, I was going to do that. I thought that was a good idea." But then they went, "Well, is it really legal? Can I do that?" And then they go, "I'm going to wait and see what happens." Well, meanwhile, Barry's out there. He's got everything going. I'm not waiting. And yeah, if they shut it down, then I have to stop. But it's not like they're going to go, "Well, you were doing this, and now come with me." So I'm just trying to say to you, if you really believe in something, go for it. Even if it's a little gray, let it go because at some point it gets black and white. And if you're in the beginning and you started it, you're going to be very successful. When you said to me, people say to me all the time, how can you sell that? Is that legal or what are you doing? And,
Hmm.
you know, you just have to go with the flow. But, listen, the biggest thing with me and what I do is when I help people, like I said, when I help that girl get off the opiates, it's such a feeling of, you feel so good to help somebody. It's more than money. It's more than money, man, when you can make somebody feel better. And that's
Yeah.
kind of where I'm at, you
That's
know?
how businesses work, man. You can, I mean, I noticed the best businesses are the ones that you can genuinely help other people in some type of aspect,
Yeah,
And when you can do that, one, you'll feel better as a business owner. So that's the one thing. Because I know, like, for even myself and even for yourself, it's just like, it's like, speaking of marijuana, but you get some type of high from, like,
right.
helping people, making
Yeah,
people better, and it's like you're getting paid to make someone better. It's like that's kind
yeah,
of how you see it. Is like, hey, I'm getting
yeah,
paid to make someone feel better, act better, work better, whatever it is. You're
yeah.
getting paid to do
No,
that, and that's a great thing to get paid for.
it's a good feeling, man. It really is. And I've been in not a lot of businesses, but different businesses, and each one has its benefit. But when you're dealing with people and making them feel better, listen, think about this. Everybody wants to be rich. Everybody wants all the money. But when you get sick, do you think about the money?
Nope.
When you get sick and you feel sick and you can't even get out of bed or something's hurting you or you have a disease, you have cancer, do you think you care if you become a millionaire? The only thing you care about is getting better. That's
Hmm.
all that matters. So once you lose your health, you got nothing. Nothing. I don't care if you have $10 trillion in the bank. God bless you. It doesn't matter anymore. So the most important thing is to be healthy. That's number one. I'm telling you. stay focused on that because you lose your health. There's no
You lose it all.
entrepreneur anymore.
You
There's a
mean you
sick
really lose
patient.
it all? I think what was crazy is Mike. He was just telling me about a story recently because so Mike's past. He used to run ads and do marketing for other people, but he also used to
Yeah.
sell washes. That was his thing. He used to sell washes, and he worked with this other guy that was his broker. Like he used to get a wash from him at a wholesale offer and
Okay.
resell them. Well, basically, the guy who was his broker, he told me, they keep in contact every now and then. And the guy that was his broker, he called him, just check up on him and whatever, right? And he was like, dude, like, sorry, I've been gone for a while, man. He's like, I just, a lot of stuff is happening. He was like, well, what happened? He's like, dude, I went to the hospital, found out I got cancer. And this dude is young, like. Mike was like, dude, he's like, around our age. He's 28, So he's like, dude is young. He's got cancer, but the crazy thing is, and he told Mike this, and he was like, bro, if like, honestly, because he makes a lot of money, like he's multi-millionaire. He was like, I
Hmm.
don't even care about the money. He's like, I haven't been focusing on the washes, nothing. He's like, dude, I will give all of it away just to feel better. And like you said, it's true. When your health is gone, you all you think about is your health. That's
That's
all you care about. Like the money, your business, none of that stuff matters. It's all about feeling
doesn't
better
matter.
and not being sick at this point.
Yes, and stress is a big thing that makes people sick, and that's why you just have to got to stay present. And if you'd like to, meditate or breathe, and you have to take time for yourself. I'm just telling you, man, and you have to eat right. They're
Hmm.
my things. But Steve Jobs, here's the perfect guy. Okay, brilliant. He changed society. I mean, the smartphone changed the way we live. He's a genius. He gets sick at, I think he was in his 50s. On his deathbed, he wrote a whole thing, and basically it said, I would give everything I have away to be healthy again. And he was basically died at like 3 days later when he wrote that. And he had a lot of remorse in his life. He wasn't, unfortunately, I don't know if you saw his movie, but he wasn't a really nice guy. He was pretty aggressive. But again, he wouldn't have invented the iPhone and every other damn thing that he did without being that way. So he had to kind of be in that mode. But he screwed up a lot of people, his family. He had a girl out of wedlock, a daughter, and denied it was his. And yeah, this guy's a billionaire. But shit like
Doing
that.
doing
And then
billion
on his
doing
death,
billionaire things.
on his deathbed, he wasn't going. I got $2 billion in the bank, and I got all these cars, and all he doesn't. Who cares about that, right? He's dying. He's dying. He's gone. So he related to that, and it's so, dude. It's not the money. Yeah, money is good. It makes you comfortable. It does. It doesn't make you happy. I'm telling you right now. I'll give you one quick example. So I was in a bad marriage, and I'll never forget this. I was probably had the most amount of money in my bank account that I've had in a long time. And I remember opening the computer up and looking at the numbers and going, I don't feel good. It's not making, like, I wasn't even happy. You know what I'm saying? Like, my life wasn't the way I wanted it. So the money looking at it didn't do anything. It didn't make me happy. Yeah, sure, I could buy stuff. Good. No, you have to be happy. And money doesn't necessarily make you happy. I call it makes you comfortable. Yeah, it's nice to be comfortable. Dude, I've been in the valley, had no comfort. You know, trying to figure out my next move and my next, paying the bills. That's not fun, right? So, but it's not all about just making the money and you're good now. There's a lot to it. So
No, that's
you
definitely
got to
true.
you got to
Money
have
brings
people around you that
comfortability.
love you, and you want to love people, and you just have to have relationships and be a good person. But at the end of the day, I look at it as it's kind of like a game. The money makes, are you winning the game or not? Right. So
Hmm.
if you make more money, you're winning the game. It's good. So it's like a contest. But it's not all about just because you have the money in the bank that you're a good person or you're happy or you have people around you. It doesn't work that way. So be careful when you start going into business. Sometimes you want to do things a little bit wrong because you just want the money. And yeah,
That's
it'll come
definitely
back to you.
true.
I'm telling you.
That's
It comes.
100% true.
Being good comes back. I'm telling you.
No,
Give it
I
to
love
other
that you
people.
say that too.
It really does.
Sometimes I tell people stop focusing on just trying to get rich, but focus more on like how you can, what are you going to do when you do get the money? Like, how are you going to give back? How are you going to help people? What are you going to do to improve
Absolutely.
yourself? How are you going to make yourself healthier? How are you going to make your family healthy? What can you
Yeah.
do to improve other people's lives with the money? Because, yeah, like you said, money brings comfortability, not happiness. Like I used to think that too, coming up, from how I was born and raised. I was born in we didn't have much, growing up.
Hmm.
I wasn't even in a well family. My dad used to work. He used to be a truck driver, and he worked all the time. You barely see him sometime.
Right.
So
Right.
like my whole entire thing is I've seen like sometime how even like that was my lesson. I seen how like a job just he all he did, he was on the road more than he was in his own place, and he was on the road more than anything. So it was just like,
Yeah.
man, you work so hard to not even enjoy your money, so like it becomes a crazy thing. But yeah, I know, and guys, I know if you guys are liking Barry, definitely give Barry a good round of applause so far. Barry is amazing. Definitely want to, definitely love the questions, and I don't know if you got me doing it so far.
Thank you, thank you.
I don't want to keep you in here too long, Barry. But I do have a few more questions
As
for you
my
before
head's
I let you go.
growing, and my head is growing more and more.
Yeah, like yeah, I got a few more questions before I let you go though. So
Yeah, go ahead.
one question is, what would you tell the like someone that's just younger, like the younger generation, people are younger right now, looking to probably do something that you're doing, that are that's kind of like something they were interested in, and they want to do something like you. What would be like an important lesson that you can just give to them?
Well, this market has changed, so it can't. The idea of what I'm actually doing in the beginning, which is getting medical marijuana cards for people, that business is really not. It's not really the business. The business is in the actual selling of the products and promoting the health, the education to help people with it. So you shouldn't necessarily focus on the medical marijuana certification business because, like I said, the competition is just ridiculous. It's like very the space is not there that it used to be. Um, you basically want to identify with the products themselves, and like I said, you always look at a trend, right? You look for trends. The beverage market is a trend. Okay, it's wide open, has a lot of opportunity. It's a trend. Another trend, I have to give it to my buddy next door. AI. AI is a trend. It's one of the biggest trends that we have on the planet right now. It's so
Yeah,
wide open. It's so wide open that I'm telling you, sky is the limit. Is that where you come up with that word sky? I like that. No, seriously, but the sky's the limit. I mean, it is unbelievable what has transpired with my business since I've implemented Skye AI. I mean, it is incredible. It still blows my mind every time. So my bot, her name is Charlie. Charlie is an unbelievable partner. Everybody should have a bot as a partner, okay? They listen to you every time. They don't take lunch breaks. They don't ask for time off. And let me tell you something. In all honesty, it's just an amazing technology that this bot communicates perfectly. And I have to tell you, Terry, since I started till now, the upgrades that they've done to the bot, it's amazing. It actually stops and like has different expressions that are more like human. It's amazing. Like they make little like expressions that I didn't tell her to do that. I don't even know how they figured out how to tell her to talk because you don't even tell them what to say. You just tell them the guardrails, like what it's about, and this bot turns it into a language and talks to people. And I've heard her say things I never even told her. People, uh, you know what? Sometimes they don't know they're even talking to a bot, and sometimes they do. But even when they do, I think they appreciate that they're getting the information very clearly. There's no language problem here. This is they're listening to this bot, and And talk about language. As soon as my patient says, "Hey, do you speak Spanish?" Well, guess what happens? The bot starts speaking in Spanish. I mean, this is amazing stuff. I mean, it really is. And it's just about the organization. Like, my son is a big part of my company, and you know, he's kind of running this right now and managing the bot. Again, our I would say we have a 25% increase in our sales. Okay, easily. And we're just getting started with it. We haven't really even gone to other, aspects of how we can use the bot. It's just doing the admin work and things that are, the grunt work. But because, you know, every year they have to renew with us our license, we have thousands of patients. Okay. And we had people on the phones paying them a lot of money, not working like they should. When I found, Terry's company and I said, listen, can you make this happen for us? Yes. Okay. It was a little, in the beginning, a little skeptical because it had to learn and train and we had a lot of work to do to get it up there. But you know what? It's amazing. Terry, I'm telling you, the whole thing is just amazing. And the organization, we deal with Abdul, who is the programmer, and he's right on top of it. Every time we have an issue, he gets right back to us. You need to start a company, and you really need to focus on AI because you can't compete without it. In the next, I don't even say a couple years, in the next year, listen,
Probably
I have
the
to tell
next
you
few
something.
months, this rate is going.
I'm going to tell you something, Terry. I'm an older guy. I started when the internet, I'm not, it sounds really old when I say this, but I started when the internet started. Okay. I saw that happen, that transition. It was the same thing. If you didn't have, like, so I was around before websites, believe it or not.
Wow.
But so I saw, you know, like people were saying, oh, you need a website. What's a website? Oh, how's that work? We went through all that. And then it got to the point where if you didn't have a website, you couldn't compete. Well, if you don't have AI, you can't compete. And I think AI is even bigger, but it's different. But it's really exciting. I have to tell you, Tara. I mean, I'm sure you know what's coming down the pike here, and I'm just excited about it. I
I did
really am.
not tell him to say anything about Skye during this time frame.
No,
It
he did
came from
not.
the heart of Barry. I tell everyone in the podcast they do not have to say anything about Skye because I try to keep it as organic as possible. As people know
No,
that
but
too.
Terry, they need to know. They need to know about it because there's so much, just like my information with marijuana, so many people are hearing AI, and they don't really understand the
Very true.
benefits and how it works. They really don't. And so until you actually, like I said, you're on the sideline, all these people on the sideline. No, you got to grow some balls and get into the game. And that's what I did. And yeah, it costs money. Everything costs money,
Of course.
but it was the best money I spent, man. I'm telling you. It really, it's not only is making me more money, it saved me money. I was spending $1,000 a week for an employee. Okay, yeah, and all kinds of issues with that. But no, this thing can replace people. Now,
Yeah.
some people might go, "Oh, that's bad," but I'm telling you, you need to be in the game because in the next 2 years, it's going to be like if
Is
you
he
don't
happy
have
or
it,
are you gone? And
yeah.
it's
I
getting to
mean,
that point. I tell everyone today is the worst AI is going to be. No,
yeah,
I always and it's always getting better. Like and this is little. This is I'm gonna put this out there now, but funny enough, one thing that we're working on is we're working on AI salespeople, and it's getting to that point that people are gonna these things are gonna be able to get on calls and sell somebody a product completely sell someone a product.
absolutely.
You don't have to pay anyone commission anymore. You don't have to make sure that
Nope.
person's getting on sales calls if he's good or not. AI is getting to that point, and we're getting and like fun fact, people, we're getting close. Like it's not like it's like 5 years later. AI, no, I'm talking about like this can happen in a matter of months, where AI can
Yeah,
start
no,
selling people.
it's going fast. And the one thing I want to say is, and this is the future and not far away, So bots, or they call them agents. So a lot of people are hearing this AI agent, right? So basically, what's going to happen shortly is, like, right now I have an agent. So I have a bot. She's all trained up to tell everybody what we do. But as an individual person, you're going to have your own personal agent. So everything you want to do, buy a house, learn about a restaurant in the area,
Book a
find a
flight.
medical card, your agent is going to do the work. That agent's going to go out, and guess what they're going to do? They're not going to call me. They're going to call my agent. These
Hmm.
two agents are going to talk to each other and say, "Oh, is this good? Is this the right price?" And then if it's good, my bot agent's going to come back and tell me that this person wants me to contact them, or their agent's going to tell them that they should contact me. That's the future. And how far away from that? A couple years?
We're pretty close with that too. Like, well, not us, because that's not our focus. But I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
I
in the
know, I know. I'm
space.
just saying that.
I'm in this space. Like, I see it, and I'm just like, man, like the AI space. Like Barry's right, guys. Like, if you're trying to get into any business, you should either be the one pioneering the AI or implementing into your business to improve your business, improve the business that you're either thinking of or that you have, because it's getting to the point where you're it's either you got it or you're out of business, and that's just gonna how
Yeah,
it's gonna be. I mean, it was a point where, like, like I remember it was days where, like, hey, you either, if you don't have don't have the internet, somewhere with your business, or you're not using the internet to improve your business, you're out of business. Like you said, if
yeah,
you're not using the
yeah,
internet for your business, you're out. And that's where it's becoming to. I mean, way back before even that, it was you need to have a phone for your business for people to call you, or you're out of business. And it used to not be that way, but you have to have a phone now. If you don't have a phone, you're out of business. Things are consistently evolving. Like, it went from the internet. The internet was the first shocker where people were like, skeptical of it. They didn't know if it was going to be something great. Now everyone's on the internet. Everyone needs it. And the same thing with AI. People are scared right now. And and the only thing about this is that the more people use it, the more it becomes a necessity, the more expensive it's going to become.
yeah.
That's just what it is.
Right.
The more expensive
Yeah.
it will become, the more expensive it's going to be to build these things out for people. And like I tell everyone, like, guys, definitely get into AI.
Yeah. Well, what's cool about the AI? It's multi. It's universal. I mean, you're not just dealing with a text. You're not just dealing with the voice. You're not just dealing with an email. You know, this thing is controlling the whole picture here, so that you're constantly being informed by the bot, if you're a patient or a customer, in many different ways. So you're, again, if you had a salesperson or an administrator, they're never going to have the same opportunity to be in front of people the way this bot works. It just, it's it never stops. So it's 24/7, and really, a lot of people that are afraid, oh, this is going to kill humanity and everyone's going to lose their job. Listen, what you need to do is learn about it and understand how to use it, because then you're at least in the game. If you just sit there and ignore it and say this sucks and this is not good for humanity, you're
I
going to be
seen I Robot.
left to the side, right? I mean, robots are the robots are the next thing. But I have to say, talking about it is one thing, but when you see this thing in action with your customers, and I was nervous, I have to tell you, Tara, when I knew this bot was going to be talking to my customers and having to give them all, and there's a lot of information that has to go back and forth, especially when a new customer comes in. They have to learn about how they set up accounts with the state and what kind of dollars it is, and some people want to know, hey, if I own a gun, am I allowed to have marijuana? And she has to go through all that. There's a lot of stuff. Guess what? In the beginning, maybe a couple hiccups, but you fix it as you go. And now this thing is just, it's like listening to myself. It's really, that's what it is, because I trained it, right?
Like a female version of yourself.
And it's like, wow, I would have said that. That's what and the customers, when they hang up, a lot of times, "Oh, thank you, Charlie. I appreciate your time." And it's wonderful. I mean, it really is something else. And then later when I talk to customers and tell them, it's automated, blah blah blah. They're like, "That's amazing. I really enjoyed talking to her." I'm like, "Good." So again, just don't wait. You know, it's not going away. That's the one thing, and it's going to get to a point where it's going to be. It already is a little scary, but
Hmm.
like Terry's saying, it's going to be a salesperson if you want it to be.
Get in there,
It'll be an
man.
administrator.
I'm scared about because I'm a salesperson. I've been
Yeah,
in the sales space forever, and I've always told myself, and I have an AI business. This is my business, and I told
yeah,
myself that AI will never replace salespeople. I was like, never. It's not empathetic enough. It's not. It would never get there. Like AI will never be at that point where it's gonna sell people, right? And I was like, there's too many ways that we're able to know that it's AI. Like no one wants to be sold by a robot, but you'd be surprised. I've noticed that people rather might want to be sold by an AI that's going to be straight up with them than a
yeah.
real person
I
that's going to
agree.
lie to them maybe. So they're like, well, I'd rather the AI sell me. So it's just we're getting to that point now where everything is becoming automated. Everything is becoming like just that process of just automation now where you either got it or you're gonna thrive, or you don't have it and you're gonna die. Like that's just how it works these days. But
You know what, Terry? I think a lot of people think of the robotic older systems as the AI. They haven't really experienced, and that's what's so nice about your company that when you first, introduce it, you let them speak directly to the AI,
one of
which
the only
is
companies
what
that do that,
actually,
mind you, one of the only companies.
I mean, that actually is the reason I went with you because I never experienced that before. To really, I mean, you had a role play. So all of a sudden, this bot's calling me. Hi, this is Dave from Skye AI. How you doing today? Hey, I'm doing great. And they're like, okay, I just checked out your website, and why don't we do a role play? I'm like, okay. And then we did this. All of a sudden, I'm the patient asking the questions, and she's answering it. Okay, or he, I forget what the voice was, but at the end of the day, I'm like, really? This is happening now? And
Yeah.
that was the beginning.
It's crazy.
Well, okay.
A lot of people, and that's why I appreciate the people who do appreciate us doing that because it does take a lot of work in our back end to have that run smoothly because there's
Right.
a lot of pulling data, make sure the AI has that data, having it switch personalities from Skye out to that, and taking that data that it does gather from the website in seconds to act like it works for
Yeah.
it takes a lot of stuff to do that, and I've noticed a lot of people. They don't appreciate it sometimes. Like sometimes they act like it's supposed to be like the final bill. Like this is their. I even put it in my video on the website now. Like, hey, this is not your final bill. This is just a way you're able to get a taste of how this works. And like and some people, if it does a little hiccup every now and then on the demo, it's like, well, dude, it's not meant to. This isn't your full build. Like, and like
No,
go to any other company. They're gonna put you on a call with them, and they're gonna call their AI, and they're gonna be full in control. Like we're giving you the will to like just so you can test it
exactly.
out. So
And I
I
have to
we
give
do.
it to you, Tara. From that beginning till now, it's that much better. You know what I mean? Like I was good with that. It's that much more responsive, and you could just listen. I've been in technology prior to all this stuff I'm talking about. I was in video production for 20 years, so I was attached to technology for a long time, and I'm a kind of a geek with different kinds of things. But I knew that it was going to get better, and it was the new technology. But just what I had then was good. Okay, and I don't know how many updates they do every month, but I know they're updating that thing, aren't they?
Oh yeah, we're always updating. AI is always updating, so like
Right?
it only makes our demo and everything a lot better too. So things are consistently updating all the time. So shoot, I appreciate it, very. I'm happy that you basically brought that up. Once again, like I said, I never tell anyone. I even tell people. Barry can tell you himself. I literally tell people when we jump on the podcast, you don't have to bring up Sky Eye. We don't have to say anything about how
No, I
how
know
we're
you
helping
told me
you.
that, but I think it's a big part of we're talking about business now, and we're talking about your functionality and how to grow, and you got to bring that into the picture. I mean,
Exactly.
just so happens that's what you do, but I would bring that up in any conversation. I can see that's going to change. It's actually changing the way I run my business. It's a whole different mindset. It really is. I'm still getting my head around it to figure out the next steps, which is the sales opportunity, which we haven't really done yet, which we're working on. And
Yeah.
I'm excited to get to that point. Really, Terry. You know, it's all good. I really do appreciate you having me on and discussing the things that I've been involved with.
No, I definitely appreciate you being on the podcast, man. I've like I tell everyone, we're trying to do things different, where we actually put our clients on podcasts. I mean, other AI companies aren't doing this, and I always say, like, the reason why they aren't doing this because a lot of people aren't happy with these other. Not an angry client won't jump on a podcast with you. Like that's not happening. So,
That's for sure.
I literally try to do this to be a bit different, and just kind of bring value to other people at the same time, like people who are want to know about business and stuff like that. But yeah, no, I mean, Barry, as I wrap this up, I'm like I told you, I'm super appreciative of having you, man. Give it up for Barry one more time, man. So, Barry, how can listeners get a hold of you if they want to learn more about the Green Institute, or if they're someone that's
Yeah.
considering to get a medical marijuana license or anything like that? How can someone get a hold of you, you know, at all outside of that?
Well, the best way is, you know, right on our website, thegreenerinstitute.com, or you can call my phone, 267-912-1378.
You
And if
might
there's
talk to
anyone out
Charlie.
there, what's that?
So you
Well,
might talk to
Charlie
Charlie.
is not inbound yet, but it's real soon. She's going to answer the phone on the inbound calls, and you'll be talking to Charlie, which is really a neat opportunity for. You might would just want to do that anyway. Just give us a call. But yeah, they can reach us on that, and we also have an app called the Greener app. That's a free app that gives, if anyone's around, well, it's for Pennsylvania and New Jersey. It lists every dispensary, all their sales and their discounts, where they're located, their hours. So it's a really neat app to find, good sales and save money. So it's called the Greener app. It's on both the Apple and Android stores. Okay.
Nice,
So,
nice.
if there's anyone out there that's interested in the beverage market that sees that, we're looking for people actually to help us with that. So we'd love to hear from you.
Nice, nice. I'll put everything down below in the description for you guys to be able to get a hold of Barry. His website
Yeah.
will be down below. The link for his app will be down below, and also, so you're able to get a hold of him. I'll even put an email so you guys will be able to email Barry if you guys ever have any questions
Yes.
about anything dealing with the Green Institute at all. But other than that, we're gonna let you guys go. We're gonna tune out, and we are out of here.
Signing off.